Welcome to the Kickstart Your Edge Play to Win Leadership Podcast,
where we've flipped the script with our groundbreaking modus operandi to bring you real, relevant, and relatable tactics and techniques to master your own play to win mindset.
Talk about a superpower. It's time to iron your cape.
What we know for sure is what got you here won't get you there.
You can't see the spinach in your own teeth.
And finally, hang on, because this one is really deep. Once you realize that you are the traffic, everything makes complete and unadulterated sense.
Welcome to the Edge, where playing not to lose is not an option. So, Karen, our last episode, you declared that you wanted the third Monday of every January to be the Recess and Recommit National Day.
Correct.
And so we're going to talk about that, but we're going to talk about it today from a team perspective. And one of the things that we have been sharing with the leaders we work with is how do you pick a theme for the year that is going to make the biggest difference to your team, right? So whether it's the C-suite or whether it's you and your direct reports, however it is that you want to look at it, if you were to look at one thing that the team could actually focus on to make a huge difference by the end of 2025, what would that theme be? And here's some that have come up with the teams we've worked with. Some people say we just need to focus on prioritization. Another team we work with is all about we need effective meetings. Another team wants to talk more about leveraging existing systems and repurposing what they've already created. So those are some of the examples to be able to use to illustrate is how do you actually make this concept of assessing what you need and then continuing to recommit, to reassess every week as a team so that we get the behaviors in place.
What that sounds like to me, it almost puts you in a place of power because it's the power of a single focus, but that single focus is going to have so much more trickle down effect than I think most people think that it does. Because if you just said a little bit ago, right, priorities, somebody's talking about priorities, but what is it they really need to prioritize? What are those, how important are those things? And if you prioritize one thing, if you prioritize like the one thing, other things are going to be more beneficial. But it makes me think of not just, it's not just, although it's one single focus, it's going to have a bigger effect than you think it's going to have. And it's not going to be about checking off boxes because that just gets monotonous and that gets old. And that would be something that I wouldn't mind quitting on.
So it's true though, because one of the things that we notice is that teams have a tendency to say, yes, we're going to focus on X, Y, and Z. And then after 2 weeks, they're like, okay, we got the handle of it. And it's about not getting a handle and getting complacent with it, but it's about how do you intentionally say, at the end of this year, this will be different for the team. And so I think, Kara, it might be helpful to share our own ways that we've done that, right? So Karen and I are a team. We're also individuals and we know what's important. So I would say last November, you and I started talking about what types of changes do we want to start to make, right? For ourselves that we can bring into the business. And it's funny because we spent a lot of time thinking through what that would be, what difference it would be. Let's be fair, I probably spent way more time than you did because I just love this stuff and that fires me up. And I do know, and I remember the day that we said, we're going to start doing this now that we have clarity and we don't have to wait till January. Long-winded way to say what I've decided to focus on is the concept of ease, which is very different than easy. But ease is, for me, to know exactly what I'm focused on, to sit down and do it and not get distracted by things that aren't on my to-do list. It's about using systems, tools, processes that are already a part of my life that actually help make things easier for me. And it's also about being very deliberative so I can be done with work earlier so that I have ease in my life to be able to go golfing and do my artwork and play the piano and all the things. So it's, I'm bringing ease into my life so that I can have more experiences of the things that I love to do and I'm not wasting my time.
So spot on true. You thought about it since November, and yeah, probably thought about it a lot more than I did. But I love that you do that, right? Because that's just who you are, right? You get an idea and then you flush through the idea and you figure out how this idea is really going to work. It's almost like where your strategy pops out for you
Yeah.
with your strength. Now, and if you think about ease, like you just said, it's so much more. It's such a big picture. And you get to define that ease. And it's funny because I feel like, I know that we're not far into January, but I feel like you're in it. And I feel like you're hyper aware of when you're out of it. And I think that's one of the really important things that's with stressing with teams when they have something like, even if they're focused on meetings, they're not going to pay attention to so much when the meetings are going well, but they're going to know when things go sideways and they're going to get frustrated. So how do you have people course correct when things are going sideways instead of letting them get so far down that you almost want to quit on it because it just didn't work?
Yeah, totally. And so, and the reason I bring it up is because there's a lot of strategies that I've been using on the daily basis of connecting with the word ease so that it's going to become second nature. And so let's just take meetings for a second, right? So if a team wanted to focus on having more effective meetings, because we hear it in every organization, and if you're listening saying we're different, you're not. People are overscheduled. They have too many meetings. They don't have enough white space to be able to do the real work. And people usually dread going to the meetings when meetings should actually be a time of excitement, coming together, problem solving, and leaving the meeting in a better spot than when you entered it.
That's funny. People should be excited to go to meetings. But how do you craft the meeting so people really do want to come and that they're not going, "Oh my gosh, another one?"
So, to stay connected to it, a couple of tips, right? One is, what meetings do you want to audit? And a meeting audit then is saying, if we're going to audit meetings, which ones would we audit? Which ones would we interview people? Which ones would we actually skip the content of the meeting to have a meeting about the meeting? Say that 3 times fast. But being able to say, why are we even meeting? What purpose? What's the reason? How do we know this meeting is an effective meeting? We have this on our calendar, daily or monthly or weekly, whatever. How do we know we're making progress? How do people need to show up different? What are our expectations? How do we not lose traction between meetings? How do we evaluate how this meeting is going? So it's something that's not just defined into a best practices checklist, but how do you stay connected to it? So there's a lot of different ways to do it, but it is about getting the buy in on, if we had a better meeting culture, what would that mean? If we had a theme song for this adventure that we're going on with meetings, what would that be? If we had two quotes to serve as a foundation for each and every meeting, if we started each meeting with a question, what would that be? And then start to implement them into place. So I think it's interesting, as we reassess and recommit on this Monday of the year from Karen's national holiday. It's about starting to get really intentional so that as a team, you're in a different relationship with the theme of the year to actually have people feel more fulfilled, more connected, more productive, more impactful, and really identifying what can make the team different. Just like ease, it's changed my life already, and it's only been a couple of months. And I'm still going to continue to work on it because the benefit and the desire for it far outweighs the day to day diligence I need to do.
It's more beneficial than quitting.
100%, 100%, Karen Sullivan. Thanks for listening to the Kickstart Your Edge Play to Win Leadership Podcast.
Craving more? Of course you are.
Check out our website at kickstartyouredge.com,
where we fire you up, fan the flames of your competitive edge culture, and ignite your tenacious pursuit of an all-out play-to-win mindset.